You're watching Bermuda Tonight. It's Monday, February 11th, 2019. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us. Thousands of dollars paid out to victims of the December 2nd, 2016 pepper spray incident outside the House of Assembly. However, as Gary Moreno tells us in this exclusive report, no one is saying anything about the sums paid out and just who benefited.
Several people have been sprayed with mace. This thing has become really, really ugly.
The December 2nd, 2016 protest was staged in opposition to the then OBA government's proposed airport deal with Canadian company Aecon. A source close to the situation says that the documents necessary for the discontinuance of the action and settlement of the matter had been signed and witnessed last month, although we're told this may have happened as far back as November last year. However, it is understood neither the government nor those individuals who receive financial compensation are allowed to disclose the amount under the terms of the settlement. A well-placed source, though, claims settlements were in the region of between $5,000 and $8,000 each. It is understood that had the matter been taken before the courts, the cost would have been likely nearly triple the size of the settlement that was eventually agreed on. Our source further suggested there were claims of deep concern within government around the potential social impact and the ill will around this issue that would have likely resulted from a lengthy court battle. Elsewhere, our source contends questions still remain about former Premier Michael Dunkley's role in the whole incident, during which protesters were pepper sprayed. But as that person put it, at least some measure of justice has been granted to the December 2nd pepper spray victims. It is in this area where perhaps the most worrying image of that protest was recorded. An elderly woman was pepper sprayed and thrown to the ground, sustaining injuries for which she had to be treated at hospital.
Oh my God, oh my God. They just threw a woman to the ground. The police officers just threw a woman to the ground, an elderly woman. Now they've got their pepper spray out and they're threatening to use it on the protesters. They are actually using it. They are actually using the pepper spray.
Now, checks with the Bermuda Police Service also met with a no-comment response. Meantime, the matter, we're told, remains under review to determine whether there was anything wrong with the procedures of the Bermuda Police Service to make decisions which were not in the best interest of the community. What's more, we're told a former commissioner of the Bermuda Police Service and a current high-ranking member of the BPS remain the focus of that review. It remains unclear, though, whether any action is being pursued against the officers who activated the pepper spray against protesters. Gary Moreno, reporting for the Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Thanks, Gary. And we now have received a response from Wayne Keynes, the Minister of National Security. He states, a result of the December 2nd, 2016 protest outside the House of Assembly, a number of applicants sought to pursue legal action against the Police Complaints Authority. In an effort to settle this matter, the Ministry of National Security engaged in discussions with the applicants and have come to an amicable conclusion. The settlement of the matter saves the cost of a lengthy court hearing on the application for judicial review and ends the prospect of any further proceedings. However, due to the nature of this agreement, the ministry is unable to comment any further. In other news, changes which could see the corporations of Hamilton and St. George's lose some of their autonomy may be in the works. That is, if two recommendations coming out of last year's consultation on the future of the corporations are enacted. One involves making the corporations into quangos, but leaving each to remain as a corporate body, with government having increased oversight on key initiatives. The second would see the corporations being dissolved, with the Municipalities Act being dissolved and the various functions of the corporations brought under government's administrative structure. Home Affairs Minister Walter Urban, under whose purview the corporations fall, explained the thinking behind the two proposals.
I believe that when we're able to further discuss these matters with those concerned, they will see the opportunities that will be created by changing how both Hamilton and St. George are managed will be in the best interest not only of those who live and use, particularly Hamilton, and live in St. George, but also for the wider country's interests. Both bodies chiefly deal with infrastructure, roads, sewage, collection of trash, and matters like that, and the general infrastructure. All evidence up to this point would suggest that they're not doing as good as a job as they should. The central government has responsibility for those matters for the whole country. We're happy to chart a process that will have us dealing with that for both municipalities, and also putting the management of those municipalities under a structure that can facilitate a path to greater vibrancy, a path to further economic development, a path to fulfillment for those who live and use both.
According to Minister Raban, either of these proposals would positively impact the limitations affecting both St. George's and Hamilton.
Hamilton has been frustrated with port development. We all know the issue concerning the hotel development in Hamilton. And they have serious issues around their infrastructure. Water infrastructure, sewage infrastructure are going to require considerable investment over time to upgrade so that Hamilton can become a greater vibrant city, a city where more people are living and taking advantage of other attributes that can be enhanced, such as perhaps we can create zones where there's entertainment, where there's other activities such as commercial zones that we can develop Hamilton much more further than it is now. There are many things that can be done, particularly with Hamilton and by extension St. George, which actually receives considerable investment from the central government to support its infrastructure, which right now needs considerable amount of money to upgrade, and the government is making those investments.
Mr. Raban speaking with our Gary Moreno. There will be wider public dialogue on the future of the corporations, the minister added. Coming up, more news and the latest from AccuWeather headquarters. Stay with us.
At Argus, our interest is you. Each of you. Around here, we know that when two people seem the same, they can have very different insurance needs. For their health, home, work, and future. Which is why we take the time to get to know you as an individual, so we can provide insurance coverage that fits your life. Because after all, our interest is you.
At ProServe, we've got mail. Did you know at ProServe, we handle over 150,000 mail pieces per month. We have a full mail handler's license, secure, centrally located facilities, state-of-the-art digital printing, insertion, franking, and tracking systems. Even full mailroom operations management, along with experienced staff and the reliability to get your job done right. So whether the job is large or small, by hand or sprint pickup delivery, daily, weekly, monthly, or a one-off project, we've got you covered from start to finish with email confirmation. At ProServe, we've got mail. Call 295-7619 or visit proserve.bm and let's get it started.
Welcome back. A backlog of criminal cases at the Supreme Court is imminent, according to the Chief Justice, due to a need for renovations at Sessions House. Courtroom availability will be limited later this year. Chief Justice Narinder Hargan said on Friday during a special sitting at Sessions House that the government is aware of the challenge ahead.
Regrettably, as has been noted by Mr. Mussenden, the Front Street facility has been closed due to health reasons. With the closure of the Front Street Court, we do not have a separate court for the Visiting Court of Appeal. At present, one of the two criminal courts is taken over by the Court of Appeal for a period of 9 weeks a year. In addition to the loss of the Front Street Court, we understand that it is proposed to totally renovate Sessions House, as was the case with the Senate building. The proposal is that the criminal division would be asked to vacate these premises, this court, sometimes this year. However, to date, no alternative space, suitable space, has been found. A trial court with jury rooms, registry staff, and accompanying files for the criminal division, and we wait to see. The criminal division of the judiciary would be severely affected, again, as has been noted by the Director of Public Prosecutions, if it had to operate with only one criminal court, and there would be a serious prospect of a backlog of cases. Having said all that, I am pleased to advise that the government is keenly aware of this issue, and I understand is determined to make sure that we have two criminal courts at all times.
Former Premier Sir John Swan and Dame Jennifer Smith will be honored during two upcoming dinners meant to celebrate prominent Black Bermudians. The events are being organized by the Hamilton Princess and Beach Club, which has made the dinners open to the public. Guests will have the chance to rub shoulders with the honorees at a short reception and hear them reflect on their experience before sitting down to a three-course meal. During a sit-down interview today with Tarai Trott, both former politicians acknowledged complaints that the island places too much emphasis on American Black history. Tarai asked, who is to blame?
Two former premiers.
What do I have? Onions. That's my favorite.
Two different perspectives.
People I know don't eat meat.
Starting this week, both will be center stage at two special dinners open to the public at the Hamilton Princess and Beach Club. It's the hotel's effort to mark February as Black History Month by celebrating two prominent Black Bermudians. While they might not agree on everything, they do agree that there tends to be too much focus on the island on American Black history instead of Bermuda's. Bermudian history, some say, is not taught enough in the public school system.
Well, that probably is true. But I find myself, when I meet young people, they don't know much about their history. But at least they're learning some history. Sometimes it intersects, like in the story about the ship that stopped by and we ended up freeing the slaves. During that, because they came ashore. We want to teach about Bermudians so that they can associate. There are Bermudians who have done just as much as people in other countries have done for their people.
In fact, here we are in the middle of, almost in the middle of February. So Black History Month now has been going on for some time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's hard to apportion blame. Mm-hmm. You know, you're sitting here saying it's the education system. I'd say it's a combination of education and the media.
For Sir John, the longest-serving Bermuda premier in history and someone who broke racial barriers, it's a question of just how much of a value Bermudians place on their own history.
And it shouldn't be just left to educators. It should be left to every household and every individual, every club and organization that says, I feel proud of being Black. I feel proud of what Blacks have achieved. I mean, we've come a long way.
Dame Jennifer, the first elected female premier who led the Progressive Labor Party to its first election victory in 1998, is currently working on a book to highlight the origins of her party.
What I'm doing to help on that side, along with Walter Robin and Will Frederick, is a book for the PLP from beginning to 1998. But from beginning means that what I want to do is make sure that every candidate who ever ran for the party is recognized, because you have people here who do not know that their grandfather or great-grandfather ran for the PLP.
Asked if he agreed that the experience of Blacks in America differed from their counterparts here in Bermuda, where Blacks make up a majority, unlike in the U.S., Sir John views it this way.
We keep thinking that, you know, the things that were done in America were done in Bermuda, and that's not true. The boycott, for instance, in Bermuda for opening up the theater and the restaurants was a whole different process that took place. The marches that we saw in Bermuda, whether it was the labor marches or whether they were marches for suffrage movements and so, were quite different in Bermuda. And I think that the whites in Bermuda played a role that wasn't. I mean, they were typical English. I call them Johnny Bull, very strong-headed, but we could push them back without the lynching. In America, you push back and you got the lynching going on. You got the real sort of beaten up and everything else. It didn't occur.
And we'll air more of the conversation in future reports. Dame Jennifer's dinner will be held on Wednesday, February 13th, and will include onion tart and grilled wahoo. Meanwhile, Sir John's dinner is on Saturday the 23rd and will include codfish breakfast and crispy yardbird. Tickets are $90 and can be bought at PTix. In other news, a man was assaulted at the Bailey's Bay Cricket Club late Sunday night. According to police, a 24-year-old man was outside with a group of young men on the club's porch when he was assaulted by two other men at around 11:30 p.m. The club was closed at the time. He was transported by ambulance to King Edward Memorial Hospital for treatment of contusions to his face and body, as well as a stab wound to his elbow, and later discharged. Police were unable to locate the suspects. Inquiries continue. Any witnesses or members of the public with information regarding this incident are urged to call the Criminal Investigation Department on 247-1744. Turning to weather news, a beautiful but slightly chilly day today. Let's go to AccuWeather headquarters to see what the rest of the week has in store.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
This AccuWeather forecast on ZBM is brought to us by the good folks at the BF&M Insurance Group. We have some pretty nice weather, quieter out there right now. High pressure in charge, but we obviously need to keep our eyes on the weather with a large storm system across the central and eastern part of the United States, as that is going to bring some impacts to our area in due time. Nothing on radar anywhere nearby, though. We're at 62. It is a little cooler out there with that wind right now from the south-southwest at around 11 knots. That'll begin to gradually import some warmer weather into our area. Humidity is around 65%. Water temp is at 68 degrees, so the water is about 6 degrees warmer than the actual air right now. On the inside, 1 to 2 foot waves. The outside 3 to 6 footers are rolling around at times, but we don't have any marine alerts, so the boating crowd is in okay shape this evening. Just be safe as always. Now, low tide is 6:33 this evening, but the tide is going to be coming in all evening long, with high tide just after midnight, 12:56 a.m. Another low tide at 7:19 early in your Tuesday, and then high tide again around 1:06 p.m. So pretty decent weather for us. We do have a mainly clear night. Temperatures will drop only a little bit down to 62. So it'll be a seasonable night. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. We do bump back nicely all the way back up to 70 degrees as we begin to feel the effects of that warmer breeze from the south-southwest. Here's Futurecast showing that high pressure is centered off to the east, and we're beginning to get that flow from the south. Picture that big clockwise flow around the big H off to the east. There is some rain off to the north, but that's going to have a hard time reaching us anytime too soon. Really high pressure kind of shunts that away, and it runs out of gas. The wind shift, really indicating where the front is, gets close to us, but it never really rolls in as that flow from the south wins out, protecting us from any significant rain chances. We look good through Tuesday, but the storm system across the eastern U.S. will get closer, and look out for it Wednesday night and into Thursday. Down into the Caribbean, we have some scattered showers in Jamaica and Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, mid-80s for the most part there. No tropical threats, though, as the hurricane off-season continues. And as we look at the forecast, eastern North America is very active right now. We have some rain in Toronto, but this is freezing rain and sleet. So it's not regular plain old rain. It may come down in liquid form, freezing on impact. So they're dealing with some icy conditions there into Toronto. New York City is a wintry mix with some snow and sleet, freezing rain and rain, 36. Boston, similar story. Atlanta's running cool but wet. And in Miami, we're dealing with the warm weather, scattered showers there. London, much quieter across the British Isles, 53 degrees there. So our local forecast, look out for showers to return Wednesday evening after a couple of warmer days. And then the rain is with us on Thursday, and it lingers into Friday and Saturday. So an unsettled period will roll in once we get into the second half of the week. We'll send it back to you.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
I was diagnosed with illness. Very frightening because my son had just turned 1 and it was a cancer. So I'm young, new baby, and I needed to get the care that I knew would be definitive so that I wanted to be around for him for a very long time. I got in contact with BF&M, and BF&M was able to commit at that time to doing at least 50%, so we were comfortable, okay, well, we're gonna go. We got off the plane, actually, the day of the procedure, and on my way to the limo, my case manager called and she says, Kiana, we got it, you're covered at 100%. And I cried all the way to the office because I was just so happy. The BF&M difference is that I really felt that the case manager really was concerned about my overall care. And because of that, I really appreciated them. I think that personal care, that willingness to listen, and then to work until they were able to get it so that I could get full coverage really made the difference for me.
Toyota commercial vehicles from Bermuda Motors are the smart business choice. They're fuel efficient, durable, and provide exceptional performance. Bermuda Motors maintains an inventory of Toyota genuine parts and has Toyota factory-trained technicians. So don't risk buying a second-hand or gray market truck from someone you don't know. Whether you run a large fleet or single commercial vehicle, choose Toyota from Bermuda Motors, the smart business choice.
We provide education, early detection, radiation treatment, and support for cancer to all.
We provide in-home care, financial assistance, and emotional support to cancer patients and their families.
We provide financial support and enhanced quality of life for patients and their families in hospice care.
We will. We will.
We will.
And you're watching the Monday edition of Bermuda Tonight. One Bermudian is a part of the second all-female trio in the world to row across the Atlantic Ocean. Jessica Rigo and her teammates Susan Ronaldson and Caroline Wilson of Status Row successfully finished the 3,000-mile journey in 59 days in the annual Talisker Whiskey Atlantic Challenge. The group of friends who met while rock climbing decided to embark on the expedition to raise funds for the Marine Conservation Society in the UK. They set off on December the 12th from the Canary Islands and arrived around 4:30 p.m. at Nelson's Dockyard in Antigua. Here is the emotional moment. She reunited on dry land, Bermuda flag in tow, with her father and her sister Kristen earlier this afternoon.
The sun would actually come out for the first time in 3 days, and it's like, okay, you know, even that one little win, that's worthwhile. Keep going for. So, yeah, it teaches you how much you can dig deep.
Yeah. Anything you'd like to say to your viewers, supporters, people on Facebook?
Oh my God, thank you.
Massive thank you.
Yeah, we've just been so lucky. I mean, firstly, there's a lot of our family and friends that are still back there, so we're looking forward to getting back and seeing them. I think you shouldn't have to do something like this to realise that the number one thing that we all came up with that we wanted to do in the future of our lives is spend more time with our friends and family. So we're looking forward to that, aren't we? Absolutely. But the support's been incredible, and like 2 days ago when we were going through all the power anchor stuff again, we kind of put a call out, and like instantly we had hundreds of messages, and we kind of read them all out and cried and stuff, and it's including people like Sharon. It's really got us through, and we also always said that we are the lucky three who get to cross the finish line, but the team is so much wider than us.
And a big congratulations to Team Status Row. Earl Basin will have your weekend sports roundup in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
At the Bermuda Festival, there's something for everyone in 2019. From international acts, the Manhattan Transfer and Shaka Khan, to Bermudians Heather Nova and Rebecca Falkenberry. Our plays include A Midsummer Night's Dream, Masterclass, and Nina Simone for Women. There's music for all, jazz, rock, classical, and even a cappella. And with modern dance and family entertainment, the list is complete. For tickets, visit ptix or bermudafestival.org. Celebrating the empowerment of women. She is art.
When it's happening now, you can't beat the immediacy of radio.
Chance to hear the thoughts of acclaimed author.
No matter where you are.
I'm Darlene Livingston with Bermuda Broadcasting News.
When events are spectacular, television is by far the best media platform.
Why now, this particular topic?
For sports action, well, need we say more? Broadcast reporters put elected officials on the spot, keeping them honest and accountable to voters. And they can explain things in ways we all understand.
Climbs up to 12.5%.
Broadcast news is important. We're your eyes and ears on the ground. I'm Jasmine Patterson, and thanks for joining us tonight. In good times and bad. Radio's your constant companion.
On the big station, Power 95.
And TV news is the news.
Based on what you're seeing.
And Bermuda Broadcasting is your station.
Now let's join Earl Basin, who is in studio with tonight's sports report.
Thank you, Diane. Earlier today, the Bermuda Football Association hosted the FA Challenge Cup quarterfinal draw inside the Clyde Bass Center of Excellence boardroom. Chairman of Leagues and Competitions, Shannon Burgess, had this announcement first.
The match that was played between Southampton Rangers and St. David's in the previous round was deemed to be a forfeit by Southampton Rangers. So the competitions committee after reviewing certain circumstances within that match, deemed that match to be forfeit. That decision was appealed by Southampton Rangers. The appeals committee has upheld that appeal in part, and the sanctions that were delivered by the competitions committee were supported in 2 instances and overturned in 1. And the sanction that was overturned was the decision to forfeit the match. The recommendation of the appeals committee is to replay that match.
And then he made the announcement of the draw.
A match of the day in the quarterfinal round. Robin Hood will take on PHC at BA on Saturday night at 8 p.m. On Sunday, Somerset will take on Dandy Town at Somerset Cricket Club. BA versus Rangers. The winner of Rangers and St. David's will be played at a date to be determined. And Crossroads will take on St. George's on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. at Garrison.
Janai Parent-Chief competed in the Texas Tech Track and Field Indoor Shootout. Parent-Chief, who had not triple jumped since last February, turned in a monster 16.40-meter leap on his second jump, a mark that lands him second in the Big 12 behind teammate Ordain Lewis. Grant Rivers represented North Carolina State University on the final day of the 2019 Clemson Tiger Paw Indoor Track Meet hosted at the Clemson University Indoor Complex. Rivers has set a new Bermuda Indoor record competing in the pole vault. Rivers finished 21st with a top leap of 4.26 meters or 13 feet 11.75 inches. Tiara DeRosa and her Mississippi Valley State track and field teammates wrapped up their indoor regular season at the Scarlet and Black Invitational. DeRosa competed in the women's weight throw, finishing 3rd with a top toss of 14.71 meters. Kamal Levrock and his Walkerville Cricket Club teammates earned a big win on day 2 of their Kookaburra Sports A1 Premier Grade Round 8 match against Payneham. Walkerville had batted the entire 80 overs on the opening day, scoring 375 for 7. In reply, Payneham were bowled out for 62 in their first inning. Levrock had figures of 5 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 5. Walkerville would send them back to bat and bowl them out for 92 in their second inning. Levrock led the Walkerville bowling attack with figures of 12.3 overs, 4 maidens, 5 for 29 to take his game figures to 17.3 overs, 6 maidens, 7 for 34, with Walkerville winning the match by an inning and 171 runs. Jesse Washington and his Southern Methodist University men's swimming and diving teammates competed in the 2019 SMU pre-conference time trial meet. Washington would win the men's 100-yard butterfly touching the wall in a time of 50:19. Washington would finish second competing in the men's 100-yard freestyle. He was just outtouched by his teammate Matthew Nutter, who was clocked at 45:56, with Washington clocked at 45:60. Teachers Rugby Football Club hosted the annual Denton Hurdle Memorial Matches at the National Sports Center yesterday. The Teachers won the second team ladies match 20-0 over the rest. The Teachers first team ladies would edge the rest 12-10 in the second match of the day. An experienced Teachers men's second team defeated a much younger the rest team 32-26, and then in the main match, the rest defeated the Teachers 36-13. The rest got a penalty try with Connor McGlynn, Bennett Gibson, Peter Dunkley, Jamie Baum, and Scott Clark all adding a try each. The Teachers got a try from Kai Edwards, while Connor McGowan would kick 2 penalties and a conversion. I'm Earl Basden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports. Back to you, Diane.
Thank you, Earl. And on a programming note now, a topic that's very much in the news, cyberbullying, will be the focus of tonight's Let's Talk with Gary Moreno here on ZBM TV9. Gary will explore the impact of online bullying, and his guest will be Sloan Wilson, Junior Analyst for the Department of IT and Innovation, and Mark Clark, co-founder of CyberTips. Throughout tonight's show, viewers will be able to take part in real-time polling via the website menti.com. Polling will open at 7:30 p.m. That's Let's Talk with Gary Moreno tonight at 8 p.m. here on ZBM TV9. That's our newscast for tonight. I'm Diane Brewer. Thanks for sharing part of your Monday evening with us, everyone. Good night.